Conversation. I am Shawnte, your host, and I am so excited and so happy you guys could join us on tonight. We have been having an awesome time talking about stepping out of the chaos. And for those of you who are just now joining us, I want to tell you just a little bit about Next Level. We created Next Level so that we could equip women with actionable tools that they could implement in their life. And we are going to be sharing real life stories of women who have successfully managed challenging situations so that they can inspire and motivate you. And our plan and our hope for this platform is that you feel supported and loved as you go through your journey and find balance in chaos. And I'm so glad that you guys can join us on tonight. So, what we've been talking about for the last few weeks, for those of you who are just now coming in to join us, we have been having a really great time. And I was so excited. This is so new to us, and I'm so appreciative of our team for all their hard work and all the things that's been going on. We've been talking about stepping out of the chaos. And we were talking about 4 pillars. We've been focusing on 4 pillars to help you step out of chaos and manage any situation. And the first pillar that we talked about was how we got started. And it was the pillar of awareness. We asked the question, where are you and where do you want to go? And as we've been on this journey these last 4 weeks, we've been answering that question. We've had a vision in our head of who we are, where we are, and we've been contemplating and creating a vision of where it is that we want to go in life. And so our next pillar was being intentional. And we talked with you on some tools and teaching you how to be intentional, because you have a vision for your life. You are in the middle of chaos and you are on a journey and you want to transform. But just because you are ready to transform doesn't mean that everybody wants you to transform. And so we were giving you tips on how to be intentional, how to create an environment, how to stay in position and stay focused on the goal. And pillar 3, we talked about consistency, and we had such an awesome discussion just on how to stop the start-stop process, how to let it burn, how to set realistic goals for yourself, how to trust the process. We talked about how to take one step at a time. And so we were just teaching on how to be consistent, because it's consistency that's going to be that thing that's going to help you move across the bridge. And as you continue to work in consistency, you learn how to trust what's going on. Trust that what you are doing is working, and trusting that process and trusting that movement is what takes us into the next step that we are going to be talking about tonight. It is the pillar of mindfulness. This is our 4th pillar, and how to be mindful. And so I am so excited. I really am. I'm so excited about you all joining us. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is this mindfulness principle. So, what exactly is mindfulness? What does it mean to be mindful? And there are a lot of definitions, but when I think about mindfulness, I really just think about this simply: be present, be here, and see. Be mindful. It's teaching us how to be present in the now, because it is mindfulness that helps us see what our next step is, what our next move is. And when we step out of the past and we step out of the present and we come right here into the here and now, God can begin to show us things. We're present with what's going on in this moment, in this time, in this season, right here in front of you. So you're just in this day. I say something all the time, and I have to remind myself about it, that the thing that gets the least amount of attention is the now. And you guys will probably agree with me. We spend a lot of time thinking about the past and the things that we did in the past and how the past affected us. And then we spend a lot of time thinking about the present. Oh, when this happens. Oh, I'm going to be this. And when this happens, and when this happens, and I can't wait on this day, and I can't wait on this day. And we spent so much time in the past and so much time in the future that we miss the now. We miss the right now. Like, what is happening right now? What does life look like right now? And because we're not present in the right now, it seems that we miss so many things. The situation a lot to us. We will miss a step. We will not see things for the way that they actually are. Our emotions will get the best of us. The enemy can even lie to us, and those are the downfalls of not being present in the now. So tonight I want to talk with you guys. We're going to have a great discussion about being mindful and being present right now. Okay. And so I love story time. You guys know I love telling y'all a story. Absolutely love it. And so, as we've been going along on the journey, I started with y'all. I told y'all about 2016 when I just decided that I'm making the change. I'm ready to get healthy mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And as we've been talking the last 4 weeks, I've been telling you guys about my journey, my mental and emotional journey, my physical journey we talked about last night. I told you about my divorce and some of the things that I was doing to be intentional and how I was journaling and God was feeding me his manna every single day and how I would take that and I would write it down. And I'm going on in life and I created this journal. I remember I was telling y'all about my journal. And I've created this journal. So we're going through in 2016 and we are just rocking and rolling. And I'm working, I'm continuing to stay intentional, stay focused. And 2017 rolls on in and I'm still journaling. I'm still journaling. I'm doing everything that God has told me to do. And in 2017, he decided to throw another little nugget up in there. And he says, let's publish your journal. And I was like, huh? That just don't make sense to me. But I was like, okay, God. And so I started working on it, having never published a book before in my whole life. So let me just start that out. Never did it. I had never published a book before. So I decided to go ahead. I'm working through it. And I go back and I look at my journal entries from 2016. Makes me completely sick to my stomach. So I put it down for an entire year. For an entire year. Don't judge me until you get into my shoes. Okay. But 2018, I pick it back up because God is like, Shawnte, you're delaying. Shawnte, you're procrastinating. And these are things that you've been intentionally working on. And so I pick it back up. And in 2018, we finally published the book. I didn't know what I was doing, but I trusted God and we finally got the book published. But the thing was, God was telling me the whole time, he was like, Shawnte, this is working for you. It's working for you. This is working for you. So trust me. And I'm really and truly trusting God in this process. I'm like, okay, this is about to be the thing. And I'm hyped, like real hyped. And I don't know, maybe it was some craziness, but I had this crazy thought that the moment I published it, everybody in the world, they didn't know me, but in my head, everybody in the world was going to immediately flock to buy this book because it was full of so much good stuff and it had everything that everybody needed. Well, published the book, and I thank all my wonderful family members because they all were the ones who bought it. And I was a little, I went down a little bit, but I was like, okay, you know what, God, it's okay because don't nobody know me. And so I got to establish myself as an author. I'm cool with that. So we go on, and I'm going to tell you, I was not fully mindful at this time. I was moving through life. I was kind of almost on automation. God would tell me to do something and I would do it, but I'm not fully present on everything every day towards this. So we continue to go on. Beautiful things begin to happen. I'm not aware at the time, but the publishing of this book is moving me into different rooms that I wasn't prepared for. That's what happened. So go on through 2018. We'd have published the book 2019. We're going and I'm still working. I'm believing God. And I'm like, okay, so God, wherever you want me to go, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. Go into 2020. I get an opportunity because of the book to be interviewed on this show for Amazon. And so it was a full book review. It was a big thing. And I'm like, okay, this is it. Now it's about to take off. My book sales are about to skyrocket and everybody is just going to know me. Yep, again, pipe dream, but that's okay. I was like, okay, well, we're going to keep it going. And at this time, God also tells me that now it's time for you to create a magazine. Well, actually, let me back that up because I published the second book in the middle of this. I published the walking journal because this is right when COVID took place. And I'm walking and I'm moving, and God is telling me, this is the path that I want you to take. This is the thing that I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. And I'm believing God, like I'm making moves. I'm trusting him and I'm building and I'm writing and we're doing all sorts of things. I'm building a team and I'm like, okay, God, this is it. And in October 2020, he says, I want you to publish a magazine. Okay. Now you and I both know, I know absolutely nothing about a magazine, but just like you told me about the book, we're going to just do it. And so I go through the process, y'all. I'm funny. I sit here and I think about it and I laugh about myself because I had to do a whole mindset change. So he gave me the idea in 2020. I did not publish the magazine until 2022. And if I could tell y'all all the things that took place, I mean, it was like I was fighting myself and I was fighting God. I wasn't completely aware at this time. I wasn't fully mindful. I was present. The only thing that I was looking forward to was the when this happened, when this happened, when this happened. And so at each step that I would jump into the future, God will pull me back into right now. He kept pulling me back into right now, being present in the right now. And so as we go along, I end up, I get the magazine completely put together. We get the app built, and then Apple just completely just tells us, no, we're not fooling with you. And there's all sorts of problems, and they tell me that it's too small for them to even put their mind on and even pay attention with. So about 6 months, I'm in holding pattern, waiting on Apple to give us an approval so that we can actually launch the app. It was crazy. It was totally crazy. And all this time, God is constantly saying, it's working for you. It's working for you. And this is it. This is it. And keep moving, Shawnte. This is the path for you. And I'm believing it. I mean, I'm believing it and I'm moving in it, right? So finally we get the release. And in December, okay, we about to launch. And here it goes. And mind you, now I am going to toot my own horn because I put a lot of work. Me and my team put a lot of work into that magazine. And it was good. It was really good. That first issue, it was packed with all sorts of amazing stuff. I told stories of myself, and we had all different writers. And so I'm just like, the moment this drops, because it is so good and it's going to help so many people. So many people are going to immediately start just subscribing and everything. It drops in December. And it had great traction. Do not get me wrong, but the first issue was free. And so we were moving along and staying in it. Even when I wanted to get down, I continued to just stay the course, because I'm like, okay, God, we're establishing ourselves in this new market, in this new thing, and I'm believing you and I'm trusting you. And then I started looking for financing, and which brings us, I started looking for financing, y'all. And I get on this call with this one guy, and he's asking me questions. And when I get off the phone with him, where I was high and I was so into it, I believed in the project so much. After I got off the phone with him, it's like I completely deflated. And I'm being honest. I laid across my friend Tanya's desk and I just cried. I literally just cried because I believed so much in what it was that I was doing. And it just seemed so defeating that, he didn't get it and everybody wasn't getting it. And I was just like, I haven't done anything. Like, this is just not gonna work. This is just not it. And I just cried laying across her desk. And I went home that night and I went to bed. And God woke me up at about 5:30 that morning. He did. He woke me up at about 5:30 that morning. And he said to me at about 5:30 that morning, use your tools. Use your tools. You need to slow down, you need to focus, and you need to use your tools. And I was like, oh my, oh my. And the one that I really did not realize that I hadn't been using was mindfulness. I wasn't present. I was moving too much. I was moving too much. I was doing this and I was doing this because when you're trying to create something and when you're in the middle of it, you feel that thing. You are living that thing. You're birthing that thing, and you think that everybody is going to be right here with you with your change and with your transformation, with your business, with your ideas and everything. And so when everybody doesn't seem to jump on, you're like, but I was moving. But God was like, use your tools. And so at 5:30 in the morning, completely dark, I opened up my phone and I used one of the tools that I was telling you guys about when I was talking about being intentional. And I began to journal. I did. I began to journal. And and so that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about on tonight. Just some tools that I use to help me get present, get my eyes off of everything else. Because I mean, if I can tell y'all some of the things that were going through my head, I was one in the past, like, why have I wasted all of this time? And two, I was really focused on, and everybody can agree with me. You're so focused on when I get there, when I get there, when I get there, that you don't see where you already are. And I did not see what already was. I didn't see it. But as I began to open up my phone and I began to journal, because I didn't know what my next step was. But as I began to journal, I began to write. I began to write things. And one of the things that I did, and it's one of the first tools that I want to talk about, is I want to talk about notice and name. That's what I call it. I call it notice and name. And notice and name is basically taking things out of your subconscious and bringing it out into the open. And one of the reasons why I do that is because it takes away the power that that thing has, that fear, that doubt, that littleness. And last week you guys talked to me and were asking me about some books, like what books would I recommend? And The Power of the Subconscious Mind is a book that I would recommend to absolutely anybody to take a read. And so what I was doing with notice and naming is I laid there journaling on my phone and I noticed the emotions that I was having and the place that I was in. And I pulled that fear, I pulled that thing that was just so tiny and small sitting in the back of my mind. And I had to give it a voice. And I gave it a voice, and the voice was, I just don't think that this is working. And I had to notice it, and I gave it a name, and I said, this is doubt and this is fear. And saying that out loud took all the power that that small thing had, it took it completely away. And as I was laying there, I was pouring it out, just letting it out. I was noticing that emotion and I was putting the name to all of those emotions. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's multiple, but whatever is in the back of your subconscious, because even though it's small and it's in the back and it's quiet, that thing is the thing that is really ruling. That's what your heart is really responding to. You may not consciously think about it, but that's the thing that your heart is really consciously responding to, that small voice that's back there in the subconscious. So if you take the power away from it and you put a face to it, it no longer gets to control you. And so as I began to notice my emotions and put a name to it, then I did, and you may see these on the screen, and so they may be out of order, but I'm thinking about it. The next thing that I did was I began to speak truth, and that's what God called it, speak truth. But when you put it on there, it's my we talked about it last week, my victory log. but we begin to speak truth. God began to ask me, okay, so now what's actually true? What's true, Shawnte? Let's look at what it is that you've actually done in the last 3 months, in the last 4 months. What is it that you have actually done? And so I began to write all of those things down. And this was on my victory log in that moment. Let's speak your truth. And it reminds me of for you Bible scholars, because I love the Bible, y'all know that. And remember, I was telling y'all that I studied the character of God. And so David, remember when David went out to fight Goliath and he gave his resume, he began to speak truth at that giant and to everybody around him. And he talked about, I did this. I defeated a bear. I defeated a lion. I defeated a tiger. And I'm just adding some extra ones. But he began to speak truth to the situation because the situation was trying to lie to him. And so that's what I began to do. I began to fill out my victory log. Well, we did this, and 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 we obtained this many subscribers, and we had this many people who started subscribing to our YouTube, and we had this many people who downloaded the app. And in actuality, we were number 15 in the US the first week that we was released, according to Apple in magazines. And I just began to just lay it out, just lay out that victory log. I spoke truth over the situation because what I felt initially defeated. I did. And you guys can really, and I know that you can, relate to this. I felt so defeated in that moment. But the more I began to speak truth to the situation and lay out my victory log, that's the reason why the victory log is so important. I'm a big fan of it. It helps you get some clarity. It helps you begin to see, and it helps you begin to understand and notice where you actually are. Okay. And so the next thing that I did was I began to affirm. I created my affirmations. And I actually call this the me that God created, because one of the things that I was feeling in those moments was that I wasn't good enough, that I did not have what was needed to do what it was that I was trying to do. And so I am affirmations help you become present. They help you recenter yourself. And that's one of the things that I begin to use. I begin to use my affirmations and remind myself who I am. I am who God created me to be. And I reminded myself that I am a writer. I am a creator. I know words and I know how to do hard things. And so I begin to remind myself, I am this. I am this. I'm not defeated. I am a winner and I'm not a quitter. And so I was doing my affirmations, my I am affirmations. That brings you back into the present, that takes you out of the past, that takes you away from the future, and it brings you right back into now. And you get to capture the now. The other thing that I did was I began to write down my thankfulness. And we call it a gratitude list. How do you become, we're talking about how to become mindful. And we're looking at tools to help us become mindful. And when we talk about becoming mindful, we're talking about being present in the now, being mindfully present right now. And so gratitude helps you become present. And so I began to write down, Lord, I thank you. Lord, you know what? I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for this man who said no. And even though he said no, I thank you for the direction, because it's, a no is not always a no, it's just redirection. But I just begin to run through my thank yous. And I know I did all of this, yes, at 5:30 in the morning, in the middle, while it's pitch dark. But this was my time. And this is what God was using. And this is how God helped me get and keep from going into a pit, as what I call it, and come back into the now and focus on where exactly are you? Where exactly are you and what's going on right now? So we have our victory log. We have, which is what I call speaking truth. We have our victory log. We have notice and name. We have our I am affirmations. Then we talked about, what do we say? The gratitude list. The other thing that I did, which is something that I talked about last week with you guys, is later on that morning, I made a video to myself. I I I I'm real big on talking to yourself and writing letters to yourself and creating something to yourself to put out there and to tell yourself so that you can hear the words come out of your mouth, even if you don't fully believe them. Hear the words come out of your mouth. And that's exactly what I did that morning. And this is, I mean, honestly, this is all the stuff that I did that morning to bring me back into the now. Because when I say I was defeated or I felt defeated, I felt defeated. And sometimes it doesn't take all of this, but sometimes the situation is so dire that you got to go pull on everything. And these are, we're trying to teach you. We want to teach you and equip you with tools that you can use when 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 you're fighting these battles, when defeat comes up against you, and when stuff is trying to overtake you in your mind and in your emotions. These are tools that you can use. And so I made a video to myself. I did. I made a video to myself, and I told myself where I am right now, but more importantly, where I was going and what it is that I was doing and how I was moving. And I reminded myself of what I had already done. I reminded myself who I was. I reminded myself whose I was. And all of this, every ounce of it began to free me. Oh, and the last thing, which is what started this whole thing, and I say this all the time, if you want to be mindful, journal. Like and it's basically writing a letter to yourself. Journal. It helps you see what it is that you can't see. It does. It helps you release. And so, in all of this, all of these tools, all of this stuff that I did this particular morning, by the time I finished, I promise y'all, I promise y'all with everything, by the time I finished, you would have thought that like we had like 300,000-400,000 subscribers, how energetic I was and how I could see how big things were and how much greater things were, because I became so mindful of the now. And in that mindfulness, and in the middle of all of that, in the middle of journaling, in the middle of the video, in the middle of all of that, it's like all of a sudden, boom, Shawnte, the next thing that you're supposed to do opened up. And the next step literally became so crystal clear to me. I was like, God, now, because I couldn't see before. I couldn't see the now, so I couldn't see the next step. All I could see was where I was. I could see all the, where I want to be, but I couldn't see the next step. And the more I became totally attuned to now and totally into the present, I saw that I hadn't been sitting down, hadn't been doing anything. I saw that we had been creating. I realized that people had been affected and that change was being done and that moves were being made. And then I began to trace it all the way. Like in 2018, when you thought that the book flopped, it didn't. In 2022, when 2021, when you published the journal and you thought that it had no effect, it actually did. When you started the podcast, the first podcast, and you thought that it didn't do anything, it actually did. All of this stuff was building, and God brought me back into all of that. It's working, and you got to be able to see it. And the more you see it, the more you're present on it, the more the next moment begins to reveal itself. You're present in the right now. This is where I want you guys to get. Be present in the now, because things are happening right now. It may not look like it. It may not look like it. It may look as if you're stuck and you're standing still, but things are happening. Even in my fitness, sometimes I'd be like, it's just not working. But then I have to be present. I have to come into the now, and I have to look at what my body is saying. I have to look at what my clothes are saying. I can't watch the scale. I have to look at how I'm feeling. I have to look at the fact that, you know what, I can think. when other times I couldn't think because I've changed what I eat and I've changed what I do. Be present in the now. Be present in the now, because when you're present in the now, now you can see what's next. No pun intended. What's next? Okay, next level. That's what it's all about, getting you to that next step. And when you're present, when you're mindful, you get the what I call the next inspired action. God is able to show you what's next and where he wants you to go. And it's so important to have these different tools to use so that you can defeat and you can come up against and you can fight. Because y'all, anybody who knows me, I like to box. And so I'm always, I have this warrior spirit, and we're constantly fighting things every day. Every day we wake up and we step into life. There is something for us to battle. These tools, all of these tools that we've been talking about for the past 4 weeks, on how to step out of the chaos of life, step out of the drama and the craziness of life. It's all designed. I lost that train of thought, but it's all designed to help you go to the next level. The different tools, being aware, being intentional, being consistent, and being mindfulness. It's designed to take you somewhere. You're going somewhere. And when you are utilizing all of these tools, life is a journey. It's a journey. And even before I say that, because I created a really cute graphic that I thought would be really cool for you guys, but I want to remind you that there are rewards. There are rewards to to being mindful, being consistent, being intentional, being uh aware, right? You get to focus, you become more in control of your life. It becomes more about you. It teaches you how to handle other people. It teaches you how to see the now and see things differently. Step out of the situation and then look back into the situation, right? And it teaches you how to handle it differently. Because again, where you started and where you want to go, there's a journey. It's a full journey. It's a journey. And we're here to help you on that journey, but we want to teach you tools to travel it, to get there, because we're being transformed. We're being transformed. I love the word of God, and it talks about be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And part of this, my whole transformation from 2006 to even where I am right now, guys, this was a real journey. And I call it, I'm living my resurrected life. That's what I call it. I'm living my resurrected life. And it took work. It wasn't easy. So when I talk about let it burn, when I talk about being consistent and going through that start stop process, that's what it's for, so that you can go from where you are to where you want to go. And it's a full journey. Life is a journey. Your transformation is a journey, and being aware helps you on that journey. Being mindful helps you on that journey. Being intentional helps you on that journey. Being consistent helps you on that journey. And the tools on how to be all of these things is very essential. And so, as we begin to wrap up, and we're going to start our question and answer. I want to just encourage you guys. I want to encourage you guys to grab hold of some of these tools. Create you a me that God created. Create you a list and ask yourself the different questions that we've been talking about. Get some of the material that we are putting up on our website for you to download and write this list and ask yourself, where am I mentally? Where am I physically? Where am I emotionally? Who do I have to become to be the person that I want to be? What do I need to let go of? How am I being affected by my environment? Am I controlling my environment? Am I consistent? And if I'm not consistent, how do I become consistent? Am I journaling? Am I asking questions? Am I questioning myself? Just all sorts of different things, right? And as we begin to wrap up and go into the next segment, because I know you guys love the question and answer, and I do too. I want to you guys had such an awesome response to the victory log on last week that I wanted to create a challenge for I wanted to create a challenge, and it's called the victory challenge. And it does a whole lot of things, right? It teaches us consistency. It helps us be supportive one to another. And so uh, God gave me a 75-day challenge. Don't ask me why 75 days. If you want to know, ask God what the meaning of the 75 days is. I don't know. He said 75 days. I'm going with 75 days. So when you ask him and he gives you an answer, just let the rest of us know. But a 75-day challenge, every day we are going to post just some type of victory. I don't care what you do, whatever you do that day, or even if it's a past victory, post and brag. Create your victory log, create your brag log, but post it. And when you post it, I'm going to ask you to, because this is a community and everybody else is posting, just comment on one person's post. Just say great job to at least one person. As you post, say great job to somebody else in the community who's posted. And the way that we can find each other is I want you to use hashtag next level 75. Hashtag next level 75. And one of the things that I like to do, and I should have put this on the list. I don't know why I didn't. But one of the things, oh, that's the reason why, because we're going to be talking about it next month. But one of the things that I like to do is I like to take a picture. And because I like to, again, being mindful, I like to track myself. I like to take a picture. And so, feel free to take a picture of yourself and post the picture. Post it on our social media and tag us and tag Win Win Women. And you just might see, if you post some pictures, you just might see the picture in the June issue of Next Level magazine. But all of this is designed for us to support one another, for us to start movement. Remember, we talked about being consistent, just starting something. What do we got to do to start and to get moving? Because we want to go somewhere. So I really hope that you guys join us for the 75-day challenge. And since I know that you guys love the talk show, I also want to encourage you all to check out our podcast, Next Level Podcast, and we have special guests where we're talking about real life experiences, focusing on achieving your next level. And make sure that you check out issue 2 of Next Level Magazine, which is out right now. Permission to Dream. We are so excited about it. Just amazing ways, so many different ways for you guys to connect with us. Check out our podcast, which releases every Wednesday. You can watch a full episode on our YouTube channel. Just so many things to help you go from where you are to where you want to be. And I want to thank you guys. I do. I want to thank you guys for joining us for these last 4 weeks and trusting us and following us and connecting with us and speaking to us as we have been talking about stepping out of the chaos. And so now with that, we are going to get ready to wrap it up and go into the next section, which is some live questions and answers.